Tuesday, everybody. You know what that means. It is time for the Claims Recruiter Office Hours live stream. What up? Happy Tuesday. Hope y'all are having a great day. Ooh, I got something on my face. What a way to start it out. Thanks so much for joining. If you are hanging out today, this is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours. My goal in 2026 to help 100 people find their next job in claims. That can mean literally anything for anybody. If I can help you in any possible way, gain some knowledge, get some tips for your resume, help you out with the interview, I want to help. So that's what this show is all about, this live stream. Yeah, so we're here answering questions live. My DM's been blowing up. Feel free to drop questions in the chat, whatever you want to talk about. One thing I want to talk about right now is food. I'm hungry. I'm thinking about food. I'm thinking about lunch. One of the cool things about being an adjuster, working in claims, you get to travel for work sometimes. Certain positions, not every position. Certain positions, you get to travel around the country, see different places. I want to know what city in the United States is the best place to eat food. I have my own opinions. I've lived in a lot of different places. Some top tier food cities in the world. But I want to know from the community what your top food cities in the United States might be. We're going to start looking at some questions. We're getting some questions in here. But if you're joining us, that's what I want to hear right now is where's the best place to eat food in the United States? Claims adjusters travel all over the place. Deployments. I know you're not always thinking about food while you're out. You're probably always thinking about food if you're on deployment, actually. Let's be real. You're climbing roofs in the hot sun all day. That's what I'd be thinking about. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours. We're going to talk about food. We're also going to talk about claims. We're also going to talk about getting jobs in insurance. That's what this is all about. So while we sit here and I think about food, I had some really good Thai food. Portland, I live in Portland, Oregon, if you don't know that. Portland is a absolutely top tier. Curtis dropped in the chat, Chicago. I got the pleasure of living in Chicago for 3 months. Couple summers ago, and let me tell you, Chicago is my absolute number one. There are so many good food spots, and you could literally get world-class food at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday if you want to. Chicago, Illinois has the best food of any city that I've ever lived in, and it's not even close. Number 2 on my list would be, then this is going to be the sleeper pick for people. There for 18 years of my life, grew up, was born there. Sioux Falls, South Dakota has incredible food. Total sleeper spot. There's so many good restaurants. It's like the most restaurants per capita in the U.S. Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So much good food, good beef. Chandler, what up, Chandler? What's up, dude? Christy Sports, stand up, dude. Hope you're still riding out there. Heck yeah, man. Hope you're getting. I mean, if you're in Chicago now, dude. Not a lot of snow in Chicago. They got that one resort. I think Vail owns a resort out there. Hope you're doing well, Chandler. Good to see you in Chicago, man. Go. What is that ramen spot? High low ramen. Something. Oh man, I'm dreaming of this ramen spot. Chicago's a good spot for some food. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Keep talking. Let's keep talking food. I'm so hungry right now for whatever reason. I just woke up hungry, angry, whatever, hangry. But this is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours podcast where we were talking about food, but absolutely, Birdie, that's what we do here. We work in insurance recruitment for the claims market in the United States. That is what we do every day. We're out here grinding. Yeah, I help companies find adjuster talent, help people hire elite adjusters built for the modern claims environment. So that's what this show is all about, is talking about claims, talking about jobs and insurance, trying to help promote the industry, get people out there working. So that's what this is all about. So if you've got questions, want to learn more, drop them in the chat. You can also ask questions anonymously. I posted a link. There's a QR code right here that you can ask anonymously if you don't want your boss to see. You can send me a DM anytime. I've got a bunch of questions that came in last week after the show via DM and also online. You're in London. That's cool. London is like, what, the birthplace of insurance? Some cool insurance jobs out there. I'm trying to go out there. Maybe I'll see you out there in April. Dude, Chandler's working it. We both found our way into insurance. Since Chandler's in the chat here on Facebook. We're live on Facebook. Chandler and I worked at a ski shop in Fort Collins, Colorado for a brief time back in, what, 2017. That was right before I started working in claims. And now we're both in claims. Chandler is a senior claims rep at Intact Insurance, Accidental Health Department. Dude, congrats, man. That's awesome. I'm glad to see you living the dream in Chicago. Next time I'm out there, we should grab a bite and a beer. Yeah, that's what this podcast, this live stream is all about. Drinking coffee, drinking water, staying hydrated, talking about all things insurance careers. So, I was saying, ask questions, pop in the chat if you'd like. You can ask questions anonymously. Let me know if you want to grab a coffee or a beer. Well, maybe, I think I might want to. I've never been outside North America. Got a little anniversary trip maybe getting planned right now. We'll see how this all goes. Hoping to escape across the pond, see some cool sights while we're there. I appreciate the invite, Birdie. Thanks for tuning in. Like, you also work in insurance recruitment, so it's awesome. Yeah. Cool. Vibing out. Listen to some tunes here, some royalty-free YouTube music. Let's go. Okay. Well, let's keep rocking. I got some questions lined up. Again, if you've got questions right now, you want to work in insurance, curious about careers in insurance, have no idea what it's like to work in insurance, just know that you are not alone and that nobody in the world here that I have ever met woke up one day and said, I want to go work in insurance. A lot of us were working in ski shops in Fort Collins, Colorado together, and here we are, right? So that's kind of how it goes. Nobody thinks about working in insurance because it's not cool, but you've learned that it is cool. It's really cool. Awesome careers, awesome jobs, tons of opportunity. You know, it's a great place to be. I never thought as a little ski tech in Fort Collins, Colorado, that 10 years later here I'd be working in insurance on a live stream. How'd I get into insurance? It's a good question. So after I moved, my wife got a job in Denver. So I was living in Fort Collins. She had a job in Fort Collins. We wanted to move to Denver so we'd be closer to skiing. You could believe it. And I was looking for work basically and reaching out to people. I reached out to a recruiter at Robert Half. That recruiter knew nothing about the job that they were recruiting for, but they were recruiting for basically it was basically dispatch at the time, working for a company called Eberl Claim Service. And so they needed people to basically be recruiters, dispatch for a local claims company based there in Denver, Colorado. So I said, what the heck, I'll give it a shot. Showed up on a Monday, worked there for 5 years. Awesome company, awesome job. And that was kind of my intro. So really, my background was working in the ski industry, and a lot of what I did in the ski industry was recruit chairlift operators before I moved out to Colorado. And so I worked in recruiting. The ski industry is incredible. The unfortunate thing about the recreation industry is that you work when everybody else is having fun, and so that was 24/7. And so I decided that I liked skiing so much that I didn't want to work in that industry anymore. And so wanted to get a 9 to 5 so I could ski more, basically, and had the skills to recruit people. And so I took a shot at this company, loved it, and I've been here ever since. So yeah, that was my intro. Knew nothing about insurance. Really, when I showed up to this job, I had no idea what the company did or what the job entailed. Had some pretty cool mentors, some really cool teammates. Shout out Tina, shout out Kirsten, shout out Bandana, shout out Jen, shout out Chris, CEO at Eberl, super cool dude. Awesome team over there, Eberl Claim Service. Go check them out if you haven't heard of them. If you're an adjuster looking for work, it's a great place to work. I'm sure they're gearing up their roster for the cat season. But yeah, that was my intro. Property claims, recruiting, working with adjusters, getting them out in the field. They at the time had some pretty large major accounts that were big and red, and were deploying hundreds and sometimes thousands of adjusters all across the country. And so that was my intro into it. That's where I learned a lot of what I know today, and I'm super grateful for that opportunity. Let's keep rocking. Okay, so questions that came in this week. Let's get to them. As always, if you got questions in the meantime, pop them in the chat. We're happy to talk insurance careers. Chandler, curious how you got into insurance. How did you get into it? Working at Intact, sick company. They got big office in Chicago. They've got offices out in Georgia too, I think. But really curious how you got into it. What your thoughts are. Senior claims rep at Intact. That's a sick job. And also, if you got advice for other people that are looking to work at a company like Intact, what you would recommend, how you got into it. Okay. Let's see. So a question that came in via Facebook. Shout out Facebook. Shout out Mark Zuckerberg, Meta. We're live on Facebook as well as LinkedIn, as well as YouTube. What does a claims adjuster do? And this is a sweet question. A lot of what I talk about is like, I go into some details, but I forget sometimes kind of the big stuff is like, what does this career even mean? So I'd love to hear some other thoughts on what exactly a claims adjuster does. I've never been an adjuster before, hand up. Never worked a claim. I've got my license in the state of Texas. I've never handled a claim before. Don't really have the desire to. I like recruiting people. I like where I'm at. But I thought it was important for me to go get my license just to kind of see what that process looks, because I recommend to a lot of people, go get your license. I also worked at a company that had a licensing class. So I was like, hey, let's take this. Let's check it out. So I've never been an adjuster. Obviously, I have a good idea of what these people do. I have to, right? If I'm recruiting these people 7 days a week, I need to understand what the job is. But I'm curious to hear from actual adjusters how you would describe your work as a claims adjuster. I will obviously give my kind of definition of what a claims adjuster does. But if you're here hanging out with us, I'd love to hear from you what exactly a claims adjuster does. But basically, how insurance works, the insurance kind of 101 is, there's a policy that's out there. What a policy is it's a written contract between usually a party and an insurance company. That party can be a personal lines, it can be a business, it can be usually a person, but it could be a business, it can be other things too. But there's a contract that basically says, if so and so, if this happens, we will do this. And the best example of that is a property insurance. You have a insurance policy that covers your home in the event of a catastrophic weather event. So if hail falls from the sky, damages your home, the most people don't have money to write a $50,000 check to put a new roof over their head. But what they do is you spend money monthly. It goes into a pool, right? That's how insurance works. When one person in that pool has a loss, this combined pool of money that's out there will go towards covering that loss. And obviously, you hope you never have that type of thing happen. But that's why insurance works. You're paying for the protection, for the peace of mind to know that if something does happen that's covered within your policy, which is very, very explicitly written out, that the insurance company has an obligation to pay if this happens. And so that's kind of policy 101. So what a claims adjuster does, what's a claim is let's say you have an event where you have weather, hail falls from the sky, your roof is damaged, it's broken, it needs repair, it maybe needs replacement. You file a claim, and that's basically you saying, hey, insurance company, person, you wrote that policy, you need to come check this out because I'm claiming that you owe me money in the policy. What a claims adjuster does, and there's different forms of claims adjusters, and different companies work differently. And so any company you work at, it might not always be the exact same process, but basically your job as a claims adjuster is to go out, inspect the damages, work with the policyholder to allow them onto the property. If it's a house, you inspect the roof, and then you also need to kind of act as an expert in terms of the type of roofing materials you need to come up with the scope of the damage, and then you need to come up with a repair estimate, figure out how much it costs to replace it, and then kind of be that guide for that person during. And certain companies do different things in this. They can replace it on their own. They can find their friend who's a contractor to replace that roof. So you might not have to do that. But you're inspecting the damages. You're coming up with a repair estimate. You're working with contractors to the point where you write that check and say, here you go. And so a lot of things, you're investigating it to see if it's actually damaged. You're inspecting the actual cause of loss. You're inspecting the materials needed for replacement. You don't want, as a representative of the insurance company, you want to make sure that you do what you're obligated to under that contract, the policy, but you don't want to overpay because you're protecting everybody else's money who's putting that into that pool. So, and the other thing is you're also kind of part therapist. You're a service provider on behalf of the insurance company. Claims is a service. We're in the customer service industry, and that's what makes good companies, great companies, is the level of service that you provide as a claims adjuster. And so you're part therapist. You need to be empathetic. A lot of times people may have just lost everything. This is catastrophic moments in their life. And so you have to be a technical expert in terms of product ID, material identification, repairability types of things, but you also need to have really good soft skills. Going back to the conversation earlier, Chandler says, my fiance worked for Intact, loved it, and referred me. She is currently an account manager for another insurance company. Started out as a trainee in Denver in 2022, got promoted to full-time claim load rep year one, applied and promoted to a senior claim rep, and handle medical expense and disability from accidents from independent contractors like Uber, Spark, Amazon. Nobody wakes up like say they want to be in insurance, but it's given me a lot of cool opportunities, and we both work from home. It's a roller coaster being an adjuster. Some days are rewarding, some days you have angry claimants. I enjoy the work. I'm actually interested in joining an SIU unit here at Intact.